My father. Look at that. Flint just went. I'm not going to sit there and make you watch me replace the flint. I've already done that once before. Could be an angry man. My father could be an angry man. But that's, in its own way, what prepared me for workplaces. In such a manner that an asshole came up on you, you just look at him, fucking listen to it. And I don't say words with my mouth, but I speak volumes with my looks. If somebody's being a jackass and they think they're in a position of authority and they're just going and you just go, show them what you're thinking. Are you out of your fucking mind? How can you be so fucking obtuse? That's out of Shawshank Redemption. How can you be so obtuse? 30 days in the hole. 17 years in it. It was like a regimen. He had a way about him. Scare the living fuck out of you. All these other people, it's like water off your back. They don't scare me. Shouldn't scare any of us. Not in a time when there are so many jobs available. These people at the one place, they'd come up and they'd fucking say, hey, this shit back there. And you say, yeah, it's taken care of. It's, counts were right. And they say, no, they're not. And you fucking say, well, here, if you want to come back with me, make them fucking walk back with you and fucking look. Da, 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 right in front of them. Let them see that the counts are fucking right. And whatever they're looking at, whatever land to make believe that doesn't make the counts right, it's lying to you. And they go. And they fucking storm off. And then you realize, as time goes on, they're not mad at me because I was wrong. They're mad at me because they were mad at me. And this shit, it's supposed to affect me. I feel very well adjusted for a world such as this. I don't think he even knew what he was preparing me for. He was just that way. Should have told him that before he went. I hadn't thought about all this stuff, how he prepared me. My dad would get mad at you, be mad at you. Not because you did something, but because he was wrong and he got mad at you. He doesn't remember anything but the mad. And it is mad. It's angry in a way that fucking blots out reality of the situation. One time, must have been 2001, I'd ridden from San Jose to help my brother build his house. So I had my bike in town, and my second brother, we changed the oil at his place. He said, mind if I take it for a ride? I'm like, go ahead, man. And that bike was scary fast. 1980 Yamaha Midnight Special, 1100 cc's, is just scary fucking fast. And I have no idea how much more I had in it. He took it down Morgan Road from where he was living, because that's where you go if you want to go fast. And there's a hill just north of my dad's house where the one kid was, and he lifted and he wrecked and lost like 70% of his skin. And that's the thing about that hill. The first bike I took back, when I went over at 100, I felt it kind of lifting. I'm like, whoa, but I know the road. That kid didn't know the road. He didn't know that hill. But this bike, when I took it, when I got back, I always ride 100 down Morgan Road when I come back into town, just because I'm home. And that's the road you do it on. A teenager's dream, a teenager's demise, like my Uncle Raymond says. But that Midnight Special, when I went over that, it was just stuck to the road. There was no lifting. It was just, that was a fine piece of machinery. If you ever can get one, get it. Kind of a cold start, but that thing is scary fast. It has it when you need it. So my second brother goes blowing by my dad's house. Wah! And comes home. It's only natural. You know, he's an Alderquist. Many of us grew up on that road, and all of us speed down it. Sometimes have to hide the car out behind the house because you pull into the yard, and my dad comes out and says, I just heard about a brown car, which mine was golden, but close enough, driving at a high rate of speed on Morgan Road. You need to hide that thing. And that was in the middle of the like afternoon, getting out of work time, 4 o'clock, 5. And I was, take the fucking road. It's 5 miles of pure pleasure and death. And so he told me, and I pulled my car around out back because it's on the police scanner. He's listening to these things. The police were saying high rate of speed and all this. It's like, wow, that thing really fucking works. So you gotta drive fast down that road, but you better get to know it before you start feeling too comfortable. With great comfort comes serenity, comes death. With great comfort comes serenity, comes great serenity. No, leave it. Kill your darlings. So my second brother blows by that house. My dad, he said he could hear it all the way up when I was on Poquet Road. It's only a few miles away. As crow flies, maybe 5. But another road you want to fucking fly down, a lot of hills. So I get home after that, ride back to his hut place. I'm staying there for the summer and into the winter. And he just starts yelling at me right away. You don't need to be driving that thing like that. I said, I just pulled in. I said, I didn't know what you're talking about. And he said, I saw you just went flying by, and now you know that thing's not on. And I said, that wasn't me. That was your second son. He keeps yelling, and then my second brother, I told him about it. He told my dad, that was me. But he doesn't need to be driving like that. So that's what it is. It's not that it wasn't him. He doesn't need to be driving like that. He was mad at me for having been mad at me. There's that. There's my oldest brother loves me. I love one that loves me. We get home from church one day and he's in his four-wheel drive and he said, let's go. And so we drive through the fields and all this stuff and come back and my dad's standing there yelling at me. I'm like, well, I wasn't right. It was me. I didn't. You got to try to defend yourself. There's no fight in the barrage. And he says, my brother says, it was me. It was my idea. But he doesn't need to be coming up with stuff like that. He thought that I talked him into driving through the fields. And so you get used to the idea, somebody like that that's going to be mad at you for being mad at you, I can fucking leave you. For, like, my dad and me to leave each other for something like that, it means one of us has to die. But at the end of it, he wasn't mad anymore. I'm not just talking about the very end. I'm talking about the last couple of years. He just 2-3 years. He wasn't mad anymore. Liked being mad so much. The type of guy that says my way or the highway. And so he has you do something a certain way. And then next time if you're doing it and he's not there and he comes up, why are you doing it that way? That's the way you wanted it done last time. I was gonna do it different this time. So he's one of those people that got me ready for Jim Force. A guy that changed his mind constantly based on the moment at hand. Almost like Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood. And the shirt thing, adapt and come all over. Adapt and overcome. Yeah. So he had these things. That actually is like the difference between an internal perfectionist and an external perfectionist. An internal perfectionist needs everything that he does to be right. Doesn't care so much about others. He's more interested in how he does things. But an external perfectionist doesn't care how he does things, but has great expectations for the people around him. So as they change and you can't tell who they are from one day to the next, there's no way you're gonna fucking please this guy. Which also I think is directly linked to an external locus of control versus an internal locus of control, which would be placed back on the internal perfectionist. The person with the external locus of control and external perfectionism, they they feel like they're being pressured constantly, so they have to change things, and that it's because they're being pressured from the outside. They change things for other people to kind of get back at it. I'm not sure about any of this. I don't read it, I make it up, and sometimes I forget what I'm talking about. There's such a thing as being mad about being mad. You gotta run to the next village and kill one of their people when one of your people dies, whether they had anything to do with it or not, just to make yourself feel better. Two wrongs don't make a right, but ooh, they make me feel a whole lot better. And so my dad prepared me. That's it. It's the difference between laughing and crying. He wasn't that bad. Don't let me make you believe he was. He just didn't want any of us to grow up, because we were easy to beat as children. He didn't want us to grow up because he saw what happened once we got big enough to beat him up. He couldn't just fucking threaten us and beat us all the time. That's right. I knew he threw a punch at me once, but I'm pretty sure I had it coming. He missed. I rolled out of the way and he hit the floor. A fucking game of Monopoly. I'm sorry. A game of sorry gone bad.